If Harry and Meghan and their main desire was to bring down the British monarchy, then they're certainly doing a good job at making sure that that creates a lot of problems. A lot of people are saying to me, yes, but Neil, this is only Prince Harry. It's only him doing the book. Look, they've worked on this together. It's a joint effort. And as you can see, over all of the previous things so far, it's really about being attacking an establishment that apparently, they've no desire to be part of. But seemingly, unless they get their own way, a huge apology, and of course everything that they want in order to continue, then they don't want to be part of it. You get confused, don't you? Do you want in or not? Do you want to come to the coronation or not? That's the bigger problem. But now it could be the problem that Harry has in fact made it incredibly difficult for King Charles III on what should be a very happy, historical, and more importantly, an unforgettable day, not just for the King and senior members of the British monarchy, but around the world. It's an historical day. So why would he wish to make it incredibly difficult? As ever, let me explain. Good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of Kensington today. Hope you're well. I hope you're all keeping fine and dandy. By the way, I wanted to ask this question. I love sharing things with you, as you all know, and I'd love your sort of take on this, because the other day on a social media site, there was a picture of a very famous Hollywood star that I've always admired, always enjoyed his films at least, Gene Kelly. I was lucky enough to interview his widow some time back, and I always thought a marvellous dancer. When you think of, the dancers that we've had, there are some great ones, including Donald O'Connor. He gets often left out of it. Everybody talks about Fred Astaire, and then, of course, is Gene Kelly. But on this particular social media timeline, they said, here's a picture of Gene Kelly without his hairpiece, a very rare picture. And I thought, well, that's a bit cruel. Two things, really. I never knew he wore a hairpiece. And also, why? Why would you try and, blow that myth after so many years? People know, I'm sure they did know, and lots of people, probably already know on this channel that he did. But doesn't it seem a little bit unkind, You kind of think, just leave their image the way it is. Or is it me? As ever, do let me know in the comments below. Back as ever, though, to your breaking royal story. This story, as I say, it's very, very cruel on a serious note, because as we now know, Prince Harry's made it incredibly difficult for security over here in the United Kingdom. In fact, the British monarchy are now having to relook at their security measures, all thanks to the blockhead that revealed that he was quite happy, of course, to take down some soldiers out in Afghanistan. How ridiculous can you get? Not only is it embarrassing, but of course, as I say, it's a big security problem. The bigger security problem now, of course, is that if King Charles is gracious enough and, magnanimous enough to invite his youngest son along to the coronation, then seemingly all eyes will simply be on him and on his wife, Meghan Markle, taking the shine off what should be his own spectacular day. Now, what's interesting here also is there are security fears attached to that, because on a big day like that, you can imagine what a mega operation it is in terms of security. We saw with, of course, our late and beautiful Queen Elizabeth II's funeral, just what a sterling job the British police force over here, security services, British Army, Royal Navy, Royal Air Force, everybody did to represent Britain at its very best. But there's always one person. And obviously now Prince Harry's made himself an obvious target for someone to take a pot shot at. Very similar to, if you remember, many years ago now, when, of course, the late Queen was at Trooping the Colour and someone fired a pistol. She never flinched. Obviously, very well trained. The horse never flinched. But we live in very different times. A lot of people crowded into very tight spaces. So basically, the bottom line is, what do they now do? How cruel also of Prince Harry to simply ruin what should be a wonderful event, as I say, not just for the British monarchy, for everybody who wishes to take part and celebrate an historical day. Thanks to his stupidity, is going to make it even harder for many people working on the ground that day. And I'm sure somewhere, somehow, they'd all really love to personally thank him. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.